Welcome to the Baltimore SharePoint Users Group meeting. Getting the logistics set up for this session, and we will share the screen and get right into it. Make sure if you're tuning in, first of all, thank you to our streaming partners. Thank you to all who are carrying this live stream, this international live stream uh, from your corner of the world. I'm Shad Didi Laser, by the way, and we'll get into the proceedings this evening. Go into presentation mode. Okay. And so, for those of you who may be new to Baltimore SharePoint community, we started out many years ago, and we are the state of Maryland's longest running Microsoft-focused community learning institution. And so, for many years, the DC metro area, which of course includes Maryland, has been considered the number one market for Microsoft technology, specifically SharePoint server technology. With the shift to the cloud, that has continued to increase, and the reason why is because of the adoption within education, within government, within the medical field. You name it, around the Beltway, there are numerous instances and tenets of Microsoft 365 nowadays technology, as well as on-prem and hybrid configurations. And so we've been in support of end users, information workers, managers, project managers, leaders of all sorts of technology and their growth in this particular space. At this point, going into mid third quarter 2024, over 5,200 Microsoft professionals trained and certified through our meetings, through our conferences, etc. And 25 Microsoft practices have started from members of our group and our meetings. And so that's one of the most, let's say, the details that I'm most proud about is that there have been many people who have gone on and taken their career in their own hands. Entrepreneurship may not be for you, but for those individuals, they had the tools and resources to chart their own journey and create jobs within their given sphere of influence. And so special thanks to ProObject. ProObject is based in Hanover, Maryland, about less than a mile from the Maryland Live Casino. They've been a supporter and a location sponsor for us for many years. Since we've gone virtual, they've continued to support us. Thank you to Ted Staley, who has kept the lights on literally by making sure that we get in the building, all AV logistics, so on and so forth. So special thanks to Ted and the ProObject team. ProObject was voted as one of the top 100 places to work in the great state of Maryland. And so as we skip ahead with community news and events, you can go to communitydays.org for more details on upcoming events and conferences. TechCon 365 is currently wrapping up within the DC metro area. And so for the longest, for many years, over 10 years to be specific, SPS Events was the go-to location for community run conferences, which we will say are one-day conferences, which allow for individuals to come meet speakers, learn different technologies and methodologies, and network, get problems solved, so on and so forth. But now, communitydayswithanS.org is your go-to location. So please browse the website and find out the latest events in your area. Call for speakers. We benefit from variety in this group. And so I have witnessed every presentation for this group since 2007. But that does not mean I want to deliver every presentation for this group moving forward. And so variety helps us because we're exposed to different, let's say, approaches where it helps us to solve problems. And one of the biggest benefits of being a member of a user group, no matter what the technology may be, is you get a resource, vendor, technique that when you go to work the next day, or the Tuesday meeting, and a question comes up and you're able to answer that or provide a resource, it increases your value to your organization. And so if you are an aspiring speaker, a new speaker, a beginner, or you are on the speaker circuit, like our guest speaker this evening, who delivers multiple presentations, we are a great sounding board to get your presentations refined. And if you have questions about what you should deliver, I will help you shape your presentation, adjust your titles, whatever the case may be, in order for you to deliver your best work. So examples include technical deep dive, break fix, lessons learned. You don't have to deliver a full 45 to 60-minute session. You can deliver, in my case, my very first technical presentation was only 10 minutes. And it was on backup and recovery using DocAv, was it 4.5 at the time? And so from there, a speaker was born. And so please get in touch with me. You can DM me on social media or email me directly if you would like to deliver a presentation, or reach out through our Meetup profile. And so I will be in the background answering, more or less moderating the chat. If you have questions, please put the questions in the Q&A if you're viewing on Zoom. But I'm also scouring our social media platforms for any questions on another monitor here. So if questions come up, when questions come up, I will interject it at certain points and present the question to our guest speaker, and she can take it from there. And so I'll be in the background. Our speaker will be delivering her magic. And in case you were wondering what that magic is, Rachel has returned to the Baltimore SharePoint Users Group. And this time, the question is, if you were to learn Power Platform for the first time or the next time, what strategy would you approach? And so Rachel's going to give you a page from her book of life in terms of how she's developed as a professional, and help you to shorten the learning curve, ask any questions that you have, and then you'll be able to approach Power Platform like a champion. Rachel, thank you for joining us. Please take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
You have the spotlight. The floor is yours.
thank you. So, hi everyone. Welcome to my session. I'm going to be discussing about approaching Power Platform like a champion, because it's very important when learning a technology. It's very important to actually know the basics of that technology before moving forward. because I've seen a lot of people who they are in the beginner stage of their journey and they don't know how to move to the next level, like how to be an expert. It's really, really complicated sometimes, but there are just some mistakes that has been made that can easily be corrected. So my name is Rachel Irabor, and this is my second time being to Baltimore SharePoint User Group. I'm a Microsoft MVP for Microsoft Business Application, a Power Platform, and a Dynamics 365 CRM developer. I'm a Nigerian, but I recently relocated to Malta, and I organized a user group here in Malta called Dynamics 365 Power Platform User Group Malta. I'm also part of the leadership team for Power Platform User Group Nigeria and a Microsoft Global Community Initiative regional lead. Yeah. So there are different introductions to me, but yeah, just summary for today. And the agenda we're looking at today is understanding Microsoft Power Platform. I'm going to be sharing tips about learning journey. Maybe you're just starting Power Platform, you're just new to Power Platform, you have started and you're at a particular point and you don't know what is next. And also, I'm also going to be talking about business problems and the use of search engines. So, understanding Microsoft Power Platform. So, before I dive into any topic, I try to explain what that particular tool is or what that particular technology is. So, Microsoft Power Platform is a low code, no code platform that allows non-developers, professional developers to solve business problems and build solutions. And the most amazing thing about Power Platform is that you do not need to have a degree or a degree in computer science in order to use Microsoft Power Platform. And also, you do not need to pursue a career in Microsoft Power Platform to actually use Microsoft Power Platform. You can be an assistant, you can be a software engineer, you can be a data analyst, and also use the applications in Microsoft Power Platform, which is really, really amazing. So, the major thing here we're going to be looking at is that how to make your learning journey easier. I spoke to somebody recently. He said, I spoke to somebody recently who is in the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 community. And he was talking about his experience when he started learning a programming language. I think that was Java. I've forgotten the language he actually mentioned that he was learning. And that was a very long time ago. He said when he was learning how to code then, he was very like he was ready to learn, he was building projects, he was trying to look for things to actually make him succeed and be a professional in that particular programming language. But the issue he had was that he got stuck at a particular point. And the reason why he got stuck was that he was not part of he had nobody to reach out to. He had no idea how to use Google, how to use Chrome to actually search and solve that particular problem. He had no people around him who were actually learning that particular technology, and he had to drop learning that particular technology and move into something else. So I'm just going to talk more about it, and this is also from my own learning experience, which I'll be sharing. So the first part is understand the fundamentals of Power Platform. When people come into Microsoft Power Platform, they try to learn all the applications in Microsoft Power Platform. And that is a lot because Microsoft Power Platform has 5 applications. You have the Power Apps, the Power Automate, the Power BI, the Copilot Studio, and you also have, I think I'm missing one, but there are 5 applications. And these different applications, they do different things and they are quite broad. So imagine as a beginner, maybe someone starting your journey into tech, or maybe you're transitioning from a non-tech background into Microsoft Power Platform, and you are trying to learn all applications at the same time. It's amazing, but I would not advise you to do that. What I advise you to do is to learn at least, at most, two applications. Because for me, when I started my learning journey, I actually made that mistake where I was trying to learn all applications at the same time. I was trying to learn Power BI. I was trying to learn, it was Power Visual, Copilot Studio was Power Visual Agent then. I was trying to learn it. I was trying to learn Power Apps. I was trying to learn Power Automate all at the same time. So the advice I'll give you is that select two applications. It might be Power BI and Power Apps, Power BI and Power Automate. It might be Power Apps and Power Automate, but just select something and then learn that technology, understand it. And one other thing I'll also advise is that, but even though you choose two technology to learn, also try to understand the fundamentals of the other technologies. Because you need to be, if you are in a scenario where someone asks you that, okay, Rachel, I have this particular problem, I have this particular use case, my business has this particular problem, and you do not understand what application in Power Platform would help solve that problem. Maybe the person asks you that, okay, I want to build a website where I can easily connect it to my data, and you have no idea what application in Power Platform can solve that. Or they ask you about a dashboard, they ask you about an app. It might not be as easy as it is the way I'm saying it right now, because most business requirements, they are a little bit complicated, and you need to actually explain it, you need to break it down in order to understand what has been said. So being able to understand the basics of all the applications is required of you, but you need to actually select what applications you really want to learn from it. Then maybe later on, you can then go back and learn the other applications remaining in Power Platform. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is, I don't know if I'm talking too fast, so I'm just going to try to talk a little bit slower. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is relational database. This is very, very important. And the reason why I'm talking about this is that for me, when I got, because learning Power Platform and actually building real life solutions with Power Platform is quite different. It's a total different ball game. Because when I was learning Power Platform, when I was not working then, I was learning Power Platform, I was building projects, I was seeing improvements. But when I started working, it was actually different, because I needed to start working with business problems. I needed to start working with requirements. I needed to start doing a lot of things. And understanding the fundamentals of relational database was very, very important. And it's still very, very important. You need to know data types. It might sound like, okay, Rachel, this is quite easy. Why are you talking about data types? You need to understand data types. You need to understand table. You need to understand primary keys. You need to understand relationships, the different types of relationship, the one to many relationship, the many to one, the one to many. And also you need to understand how to work with entity relationship diagram, which is EROD. And you need to do all of this, because if a client talks to you, or somebody is talking to you and asking you that, okay, this is the problem I have, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, you can easily understand that, okay, in this particular problem, or in this particular use case, this is the data that needs to be collected. This is the data that needs to be collected. This is the data types for each of the column that will be collected. These are the tables that are going to be used for that particular solution. And this is the relationships that are going to be between the different tables used in that particular solution or business problem. So it's very important to understand relational database. If you are just starting your journey, or you're at a particular point where you feel that, okay, I don't know what the next point is, like I've been a beginner for so long, but I don't know how to move to the next point, try understanding the basics. If you understand the basics, most of these things I'm saying now, they're kind of, you kind of think that, okay, these are all outside of Power Platform, but it is not. It is part of Power Platform because anything you are going to be doing, you are going to be working with data. So you need this. And then the next thing is understand the environment and studio. So if you are working with Power Apps, try to understand the Power App Studio. When I say studio, that's the place you actually do your development, where you build your app, where you build your copilot, where you build your website. Understand the studio, understand the controls. If you are building a Canvas app, try to understand the properties. Try to understand where the formula bars are. Try to understand what is happening at the left side, what is happening at the right side. Try to understand everything that you are seeing there because it makes it easier and you become familiar with it. And when you become familiar with it, it also helps you when you are learning. Maybe when you are reading through a Microsoft learning path and they mention a particular control, you can easily understand, okay, this is what it means. Because if you are just starting your journey and you hear, okay, I want you to use this particular property, I want you to do this, yeah, I want you to do that, you're like, okay, what? I got shot. Okay,
But
it's actually
yes,
what,
yes.
yeah,
Question. You mentioned that there's the different applications for the Power Platform. Are
yeah.
there any, let's say, in your journey, you mentioned working on two at a time. Are there any from your experience that would be more complementary than others?
Okay, so for me, I started learning Power Apps at first because I felt that then it was just four applications in Power Platform. I was learning all of them at the same time. Then I was like, okay, this is too much. This is overwhelming. And then I started learning Power Apps. But when I started learning Power Apps, I noticed that I needed to use Power Automate for a lot of things. I needed to use Power Automate for a lot of things. So I started using them together. And it complements it they both complement each other because they kind of use formulas and different things. So if you're learning Power Apps, it's easy to actually learn both at the same time. Yeah. I don't know
Also,
if I answered. Yeah, okay.
yeah, that was a great answer. And also, we received a question. What platform do you feel has helped you the most professionally?
Okay, platform. That's a very good question. Okay, I'll say Microsoft Learn has helped me because I go through learning paths. And also YouTube. I watch videos on April Donald. I watch videos on Shane, on Reza, on a lot of different people in the communities. But I'll tell you that the major thing that has helped me is actually building projects. Because if you are going from courses to courses, from learning paths to learning paths, and you are not doing anything about it, like you are not, what you have learned, you are not putting it into anything, it's not really going to be any difference. You understand? So the major thing I'll just say is build projects, work on projects. Then as you're working on the projects, you might be stuck at a particular point and then okay, you now have to go and research about it. Yeah.
Um, and received another question with all the, let's say, attention that Copilot has received across the Microsoft industry. This individual is wondering, should she drop what she's working on now and focus on Copilot, or just continue along the path?
Okay. I would advise you to continue what you're learning. Copilot is going to be here for a very long time. So continue what you are learning and then bring Copilot in into what you are learning. Because now in Power Platform, we have Copilot in everything in Power Platform, and you are definitely going to use it. So it's not something so if you're talking about Copilot itself and not Copilot Studio, so it's not something that you think that okay, I just have to learn it on its own. So you can easily just incorporate it into what you are currently learning. You don't have to stop what you are learning. You can bring it in and learn it and learn Copilot with it. Yeah.
Okay, those are all the questions from let's say social media and that I've received at this point.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing I'll say is that the next advice I have is understand how to solve a business problem. Like the answer I just gave to that question, be going from courses to courses and then going from videos to videos, but not building a project. Why? That's a very, very big mistake that should not be made. Try and work on projects because it's very important. If an individual is looking for a job opportunity without no experience, they need you can't just go to an interview and be like, okay, I want a power platform job. I want an opportunity where I can use Power Platform. And when they ask you questions, you just have basic knowledge. Like you just have knowledge, okay, I know what is Power Apps, I know the business values, I understand these fundamentals, but I don't know how to utilize it. I don't know how to use it. If you are learning and building yourself on Power Platform, you need to work on projects so that when you get to the interview, you actually have something to say and you have something to discuss with the interviewer. And the advice I also have concerning that is that when working on projects, especially when we are working on projects for a job opportunity in Power Platform without no experience, I advise you to actually work on projects that solve day-to-day business problems. Something that you think that okay, any business would need this type of solution. So that when you go to an interview and you are speaking that okay, this is the project I worked on, they can easily tell you that wow, we're actually having this problem right now and we have not been able to solve it. It does not have to be something so complex. Like when I say project, it doesn't have to be something so complex. It can just be that okay, when I receive a lot of emails and it's hard for me to track them, and most times I get a lot of attachments from the emails and I don't know where they are. I want to create a folder that when this particular person send me an email, I want it to save to that particular folder. So it can just be something very, very easy, but it just solves day-to-day business problems. And if you continue working on building projects, it gives you even without having a work experience in this particular Power Platform too, it gives you the idea of okay, this is how I can, when I'm given a use case to work on, this is how I can actually approach it. And a lot of companies, if you are starting with the company on internship or maybe the graduate programs they have, they actually give you a they actually give you a use case to work on first before they start letting you into projects. And you have to they want to see how well you are with solving business problems. So in everything you are doing, I'll just advise you that you should build projects, look for use cases and business problems that you can actually solve using Power Platform. Then the next thing is certifications, writing certifications. It's not so important. It should not be your top priority. It should not be especially when you are starting as a beginner, it should not be your top priority. Your priority should be right, being able to know this platform, being able to know the fundamentals of this platform, being able to use it. And when you start thinking about certifications, because certification is important, the first exam to write is the Power Platform Fundamental Certification Exam, because with writing the certification exam, it gets you ready for understanding all the fundamentals of the five applications. And recently, they updated the certification and added co-pilots into it because now we have co-pilots everywhere in Power Platform. So they updated the certification learning parts. So you can take the exam. This will help you give you a fundamental knowledge of all the applications, what they do, and their business value. And the next thing is joining the community. Try and join the community. It's very, very good. Go to your browser, search for Power Platform user groups, and then you can see communities close to you. Like now, we are all in Batmom SharePoint user group. This is a community. You can interact with people, you can connect with people, you can ask questions. If there's something that you do not understand, you can reach out to people like, okay, I'm learning this. but I do not understand what this means. You can easily talk to people who are actually on this career path already, and they can actually guide you. So the next question, I have a question for everyone. You can drop it in the comment section. So what challenges have you faced while learning with Power Platform or building a solution? Like what challenges have you faced? Have you faced any challenges as a beginner, as an expert? Maybe you are very advanced in using Microsoft Power Platform. What challenges have you faced? You can just drop them on the comment section. Because for me, challenges I faced challenges where I faced challenges where in the beginning of my journey, I tried learning all the applications at the same time. I faced challenges where I actually had difficulties with the fundamentals of relational database, how to use primary keys, how to use the different relationships, how to, when I see a business problem, how to actually understand how to build an EROD diagram for that solution, how to connect tables and do so many things. Yeah. I'd just love to know what difficulties you also had. Okay. So understanding a business problem. So I just write a little snippet about it. So understand a business problem. So let's say for instance, a client comes to you, because for me, anything I'm doing, I try to build a backstory. Like most times I write blog posts online, like long blog posts, and I try to build a backstory concerning that particular blog. And if a client comes to you or a customer comes to you and tells you that I have a problem, I want to use Power Platform. I want to use Power Platform. This is what I want to do. The first thing you need to understand first is that when they explain the problem that they are having, you need to first of all understand if they already have a platform they were using before now. You need to understand, okay, this problem you are having that you need a solution for, were you using something for it? It might be data entry. They were taking their daily data in a paper, and now they want to start using Power Apps, and they want to connect it to either SharePoint, Excel, or SQL. You need to understand, okay, what particular platform or process were you using before now? It's very, very important to understand, because if when you understand what old system they were using, it gives you a visualization, an idea, a better understanding of how that solution should come into play. And if you need to also understand the reason for the change. Why so sudden? You were using this before, so why the change? Why the improvements? You need to also understand, because when you understand, you actually understand what is their goal, like what is the purpose. Because most times when clients are actually trying to explain the problem they have difficulty with actually explaining it clearly. They have like they have the where they are unable to explain the issues they are having clearly. So when you understand the purpose, the reason why they need this sudden improvement, it gives you an idea, okay, this is their goal, this is actually what they want at the end of the day. And then the next thing is identifying the functional requirements. Like when people are building solutions, there was a session I gave recently, which is about developers having the skill sets of consultants. Because when when a solution is given, when a problem is given for a solution, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, how is the design going to look like? How is it, if it's an application, how is the design of this application going to look like? How is the performance going to look like? What is coming to play? This, that. But there are a lot of things you need to understand. You need to first of all understand, before understanding how the filtering and everything is going to happen in the application. You need to understand what is the functional requirement that this application needs to have. Every other thing, they're all coming to play, but there are things that actually needs to work on that particular solution. and then being able to identify the tools that will be used. So that's why I said, even though you're learning Power Platform, especially as a beginner, you need to understand the fundamentals of the 5 applications. You need to know what they do. You need to know their limitations. You need to understand them so that when you are given a business problem or a use case or a project to work on, you can easily say, okay, Hmm. This particular problem, Power Apps and Power Automate will do the job. This particular problem, modern driven apps and Power Automate will do the job. You don't need to use Dynamics 365. And when you actually understand what you are doing, you make the job easier, and also you make, because everybody is trying to manage their money, you make the licensing process for them also easier. If a company that already has a Power Platform license, and then they are thinking of solving a business problem and they think they need to use Dynamics 365, if you are able to understand, okay, these are the fundamentals of this platform, you can be able to tell them that, okay, you actually do not need to get a license for Dynamics. You can easily use modern driven apps for what you need. And then another thing is, what do you think about the entity relationship diagram? You also need to know how to use EROD. You need to know how to, if a solution is given to you, you need to know which data is going to be collected. And this also helps with, maybe they have an old system, you can see, okay, which data they were collecting before and which data they need to collect now. And maybe you might have a question that, okay, what of if they do not have an old system? Even if they do not have an old system, understand what is the end goal of this solution, this particular problem they want to solve. What is the end goal? What do they want at the end of the day? Even though they say so many things, but there's something they want from that particular, there's a reason why they met you, that I want to solve this problem. And yes, so what columns will be used and their data types. So all this is data collection. Is there any questions?
Yes, there's one. Unless I misunderstood, which Microsoft certification was the first to pursue? This is Ted with the question.
Okay, so the first certification I'll ask you to pursue as a beginner is the Power Platform Fundamental Certification. You should definitely go for it. Power Platform Fundamental Certification. And there is also Power Platform App Maker. I think that has been discontinued. There's Power Platform Functional Consultant. There's Power Platform Functional Consultant. While writing Power Platform Functional Consultant, I would also advise you, even though you're not going to be using Dynamics, I would also advise you to also write Dynamics 365 CRM Fundamental. And the reason why I'm advising you this is because the Dynamics 365 CRM Fundamental, it's actually focused on data vars, it's focused on modern driven apps. So I advise you to actually go through it because it makes your understanding of the tools, what to do, a lot easier. And even writing the exam too. If you write, maybe the first exam you write is Power Platform Functional Consultant before Dynamics 365 CRM Fundamental. It gives you an easy idea. It makes the exam easier to write. Or maybe you write the CRM Fundamental before the Functional Consultant. There's a lot of things that you will see that it's on both sides because this is what they are both focused on. Yeah. So let's look at a solution for instance. In a company, they want to create a leave request process. In your current jobs or place of work, before leaving you have to give a leave request. Maybe you are going for maternity leave, maybe you are sick, maybe you are going for vacation. You actually have to give a leave request, and then your manager needs to respond. So this is what this company wants. They want to change the old process they have before and they want to change it differently. They want to change it to an approval process. And let's read through what they want. So they want to send, their end goal is that they want to send approval request for to manage employees leave requests. And the data they are collecting are type of leave, the type of leave, vacation leave, sick leave, maternity leave, and training leave. These are the types of leave they currently have that employees can request for. They also have holiday length, the length of holidays each person has every year. They have hours, days, hours of leave that you can take in a day. They have okay, and they also want that a view showing how many hours or days remaining from the year's vacation leave. So if you take, maybe you have 20 days in a year vacation leave and you have already taken 5 days, they want to make sure that you are able to see the days you have taken is no longer included in the days remaining, so it will now be remaining 15 days. They also want the system should deduct from vacation leave, so that's what was the beginning. And they want an email to be sent out to the manager with a link in the email, and that link, when they click on the link will direct them to the leave request that the employee has made. So when you think about this process, this leave request process, when there's an approval sent, you already have this mind that okay, Power Automate is going to be used in this solution. Power Automate is actually coming to play here because Power Automate is going to be running in the background. It's going to be sending back and forth. It's also going to be sending an email to the manager. And if you also look at it, if you look at this last place where they said an email is sent out to the manager with a link, and when they click on the link, it directs them to a leave request. So you have to think, okay, how can this be possible? What can I do here that will actually solve this? This is definitely not Power Automate that they will be coming back to, because if the this is definitely Power Automate that they will be coming back to. So where are they coming back to? It's definitely an application, like an interface that they can see. They can see the employee's name, they can see the employee's comments, the reason why they are giving the leave, maybe it's a sick leave. They can see the day, maybe the manager was not on that particular day that the leave was requested. They can see more detailed information about that leave request. So that is definitely an app that is coming to play there. And when you talk about the system deducting from vacation leave, so that is also a visualization, because something has to be showing it. How is this working? It's actually a screen showing that okay, this is the person's information, this is the person's information, and also this is the vacation leave remaining. And if you can notice something, they already gave us a little bit of idea of the data we are collecting. They gave us an idea. Type of leave is a choice column where we have vacation leave, sick leave, maternity leave, and training leave. So think about it. What other data are we collecting here? You're definitely collecting the employee's name. You are collecting the employee's ID. Yeah, and one other thing too is that being able to actually, one thing too that a lot of people make mistakes on is that being able to understand what, apart from even understanding the technology, just being able to understand general things. Like for a leave request, for instance, what is, especially a leave request in a company, what kind of data are going to be collected? Definitely employee's name, employee's ID, manager's name, and different other things. Then if in a scenario where it is maybe they want to do an approval process in a warehouse, you need to think, okay, on a normal day, what kind of data a warehouse is going to collect, or maybe a government property, or maybe any other thing. Just having general knowledge about things, having general knowledge about things, having general knowledge about businesses, different industries, will also help you to be able to understand, okay, this is what is going to be happening here, this is what is going to be happening. Maybe a client reaches out to you, the client is in real estate, they are doing this, they are doing that. Being able to understand, okay, this is real estate, this is, yeah, on a normal, what do they need? How does this business run? Generally, they work on selling of houses and different things. Just being able to have a general knowledge about that particular thing will also help you. It's not like when you are saying solve business problem, it's not that giant wall that you cannot cross into. Also having general knowledge also helps a lot. So in this type of solution, data we'll be collecting the employee's name, employee's ID, manager's name. We will definitely be collecting dates, the date the approval was approved or rejected. We'll also be collecting we're also collecting the date the leave request was made. We'll be collecting the what job role the employee has. We're collecting a lot of data. So these are basic things that you think about that okay, this needs to be there. You also be collecting vacation leave, the number of days the vacation leave the person already has, and then the system deducting it. That does not really matter, but you just need to understand what data is going to be collected. And yeah, so I just wanted to understand, to just have an understanding that solving a business problem is not that it's not so difficult if you have general knowledge and you also have a fundamental idea. It's being able to actually do the work is, if you do not understand the tool, you cannot do it. But from the beginning of the solution, where you're actually at the beginning, the problem is brought, you are trying to understand what is happening. So being able to have general knowledge, being able to have fundamental ideas of these applications, you can be able to know what will work and what will actually do everything that they have here. And if you actually think about everything that is here, you understand that we have different types of power apps. Be able to understand what power apps is going to work in this solution, and that is Canvas power apps application, because the different visualization they need power apps to work on it. And then another thing I'll advise you is make your search engine your best friend. It's very important. Before you ask questions, before you reach out to people to ask questions, try to also do your own research. Maybe you're working on a problem right now and you are stuck, you don't know what to do, you are receiving an error message and you don't know what to do. Why not copy that error message and paste it on your browser? Paste that error message on your browser. I do this a lot, and I see a lot of people who have actually talked about that problem and how to resolve it. It's not everything you reach out to people. Try to actually also research on your own. Maybe you are thinking about a solution now and you are thinking, okay, I want to do this, but I don't know how to go about it. Try and also research online. You are going to get ideas of how to approach that particular thing you need. So being able to one other question I've seen a lot of people ask me is that, Rachel, how can I research? I actually have issues with being able to research. So if you understand what you are doing, you can be able to communicate clearly of what you want. You just have to think that, okay, maybe for instance, I want to create a formula in Canvas app. I want a power effects function that I can use to deduct data from vacation leave. You just have to search, okay, this is what I need, and then explain it and put it on your browser and search about it. Having an error message, deciding on what to build or design to use, research on how to build a particular function. This is why your search engine is your best friend. Either you're using Google Chrome or Edge, make use of it. So thank you. And I don't have a there's something I want to point out. I have a YouTube video that I did this 3 days ago. It's actually I talked a bit about the session I just did now. I talked a bit about it where I said everything you must know before starting Power Platform as a beginner. So you can check it out, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Yes, please message me the link to the YouTube video when you have a free moment, and I will share it in the follow-up email about this session.
Okay. Yeah. Am I still sharing my screen?
Yes, I will remove the spotlight and we will wrap this up. Okay, this has been a great session for those of you, especially if you're transitioning from other technologies or from outside of Microsoft technology, and you're looking to learn, let's say, some of the best practices on how to learn Power Platform faster and more effectively. Or if you're experienced and maybe you've taken on too much, you're excited about a certain technology, and you find yourself viewing this training, attending this user group session, or taking this course, and you're not making the progress necessary. Rachel gave you a very clear path in order for you to get up to speed and focus on what you need to learn. So, on behalf of Rachel, I'm Shadidi Laser. Thank you for tuning in to this month's Baltimore SharePoint Users Group session. Uh, if you're on the mailing list, you will receive a follow-up with the recording as well as the YouTube video that Rachel has shared, which goes into greater detail. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. And so stay tuned for next month, third Thursday of the month of September. Thank you for tuning in. View the recording wherever you find our social media handles. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, have a great
No,
day.
thank you. You
Bye.
too.
Yeah.
Bye.